Hello everyone, and welcome to the first episode of Fall of the West. As you know, we here in the quote-unquote Western world have things pretty good. We don't have much to complain about, so if you enjoy hearing about laziness, ignorance, political correctness gone mad, and just general stupidity, if you think society has lost its mind and reason and logic are dead, then stick around. We're the show that brings you all the ridiculous news stories you might have missed. If you think the current state of affairs of the world is ridiculous and you need a laugh, then you've come to the right place. Relax. We have no agenda, no political leaning. We're neither left nor right nor upside down. This show is about entertainment, not politics. Every time a blue-haired, non-binary activist identifies as a koala, or a family values Republican senator gets caught with his gay lover, we'll be there to make fun. So sit back, relax, and let's watch the world burn together. Now, our first story comes to us from the BBC, and is proof that the US doesn't have a patent on ridiculous. So let's go there and take a look now. The title of the story is Deaf Mum Sues Little Mix Promoter in Sign Language Row. So, the story goes, basically, it's about a pop group called Little Mix and a mom that just wants to go see that show. But there's a twist, because she's deaf. The article begins, 8-year-old Kate Mary and her friend Megan are big fans of Little Mix. They've got the t-shirts, the photo albums, the CDs, can sing the songs and rock the dance routines. So how did their love of the band lead to unprecedented legal action? Last year, Kate's mum, Sally Reynolds bought 6 tickets to see the band in concert on 1st September at the South of England Event Centre in Sussex. Sally is deaf and booked for herself and 2 deaf friends to go with their daughters who are all able to hear. So basically, a deaf mom and her deaf friends want to bring their friends to a concert. Doesn't make sense exactly that the deaf women want to go to a concert to hear music, but their daughters like the band, so it makes sense, right? They're doing things for their daughter. It makes sense. Anyways, in order that she and her friends could fully access the performance, Sally asked the organizers, LHG Live, to provide a British Sign Language interpreter. Okay, now we're getting a little pushy. She was initially offered carer tickets. I guess that's tickets to take, I don't know what the politically correct term is. Helper, maybe? Carer tickets, and told that she could bring her own interpreter, but she didn't consider that met her needs or amounted to full access. So basically, she asked for an interpreter to be provided for her by the concert, and when they offered her tickets to bring her own interpreter, that was not enough. Speaking exclusively to the BBC, Sally explained, "We asked 2 or 3 times, please, can you provide the interpreter for us?" And the explanation we got back was just a no. I didn't have a reason behind it, and eventually we became so frustrated. I wanted to share the same experience my daughter had. Essentially, I just wanted to access the songs. Now, here's the thing. If you're deaf and going to a music concert, you're not going to have, unless you're Beethoven, you're not going to have the same experience as your daughter. And even then, come on. But let's continue. Legal action. Under the Equality Act of 2010, any organization supplying a service to the public is under a duty to make reasonable adjustments to ensure that a disabled person's experience is as close as possible to that of someone without a disability. So it's basically the Americans with Disabilities Act, but in Britain. And at least in the US, I think the clause states that you're required to make reasonable accommodations to people that are differently abled. And basically, as the story goes, this woman isn't okay with bringing her own interpreter. She expects the concert provider to provide her with a sign language interpreter. I don't know. That seems pushy to me. Now, if I'm in a wheelchair, I'm sure they're required to have ramps for me to roll on up. But I don't think they're required to hire people to carry me into the concert like I'm the Sultan of Brunei. But let's keep reading anyway and see what happens. The girls and their mums got to the end of the concert, and when Little Mix took to the stage, their lyrics were interpreted for Sally and her friends by a specialist interpreter from the company, Performance Interpreter. So in the end, they did bring interpreters on board, but she's still suing them, and here's the reason. The interpreter came a little bit late. So I think here it says, the concert had started with 2 supporting acts, and the interpreter had not been booked to cover them. That's right, they didn't come for the openers. I felt that we were really part of the Little Mix experience, said Sally, but because it was so good, I realized that we missed out on the first 2 acts. I don't know how amazingly good it could have been, just to listen. No, sorry, take that back. Not listen, watch people sign their songs, but whatever. They missed the first 2 acts of the song, and I guess that meant that they didn't really enjoy the show. As Sally said, we only got access to the last act. If you went to a film, can you imagine only getting access to the last 20 minutes? This is my favorite part of the article. She goes, we had paid for our tickets like everyone else. That's right, you paid for your tickets, and you know what? No one else was given a sign language interpreter. I don't understand why you couldn't have brought your own when they told you you were totally able to. When they provided you, quote-unquote, care tickets to bring your own. I think that's kind of crazy. I think that's kind of silly. But nonetheless, she's suing the concert people. But I think the funniest part of the article is the quote from their daughter at the end that goes, I really love my mum, and I want her to come to the concerts with me. That's so sweet. But in the back of her mind, she's going, oh, fuck, not again. Not another scene. Can't she just come along and deal with it? Oh, my God. I have to be in the news again because Mom can't just deal with this. What are you going to do? What are you going to do? And you know what? Here's the thing. If you're deaf and going to a concert, you don't need an interpreter. These are crappy pop songs. Let's go on the internet and look up Little Mix lyrics. We'll just type in Little Mix songs. We can type that up on our own, and let's provide for Ms. Sally what the concert providers were not able to provide her. Little Mix lyrics. Okay. Let's take a look. This says Wings. I'm not familiar with this group. I don't know if this is correct at all, but I'm assuming it's correct. This is the lyrics to Little Mix Wings. Mama told me not to waste my life. She said, spread your wings, my little butterfly. Don't let what they say keep you up at night. And if they give you shh, I'm guessing that's the S word, then they can walk on by. They got the whole lyrics here. We read the first part. Let's read the last little stanza, I guess. And we don't let nobody bring us down, no matter what you say. It won't hurt me, no matter if I fall from the sky. These wings are made to fly. There you go. Profound, deep, introspective, interesting. And you know what? It's not fair that someone had to miss out on that. But if they go to azlyrics.com, they won't even need a quote unquote, what was it called? Carer? I guess that's the British word for a minder or whatever. If you go there, you can find all the lyrics to all the songs you ever want, and you don't even need to go to the concert. Perfect. So there's that. Let's move on to our next story, though. Our next story comes to us from the Miami Herald. And the title goes, Psychiatrist Sues Reddit to Unmask Anonymous Online Critics. So let's begin. They called him a maniac and much worse, and said he gives patients, quote unquote, the creeps. They accused him of overprescribing drugs, misdiagnosing ailments, and incompetence. And they alleged that this Tokyo counseling center scams clients out of money. Douglas Berger, a Lake Worth psychiatrist practicing in Japan, has no idea who posted the barrage of critical comments about him to the social news website reddit.com over the past 6 months, but he intends to find out. So the gist of this story is that there's a psychiatrist working in Japan at a psychiatric center in Tokyo, and I'm assuming most of his clients are white American people living in Japan for a semester. But the amazing thing is this guy has gotten trashed on Reddit for being a crappy psychiatrist. I don't know if he is. It doesn't matter because it's amazing. According to this article, more than 165 commenters about Berger have disparaged him on Reddit.com. And basically he's suing Reddit to try and out these anonymous posters. So I went on Reddit and looked up these comments, and it's not amazing, but pretty entertaining. The first one I found was a post saying, "Avoid Dr. Douglas Berger for therapy. Before I begin, no, unlike other posters before me, I am not trying to push another doctor. I'm just trying to share my story. I went to Japan to study abroad for a year. I had depression for a long time before I left America, and it got worse here, so I realized I needed to see a doctor. Berger's firm nearly always comes up first at the top when you search for therapists, etc. in Japan, so I decided to see him over Skype. I don't live near Tokyo. So basically he feels uneasy. The main problem I have with him is he's incompetent in actually giving therapy. He never used any useful questions, wasted time. He didn't have insurance. He'd charge you $150. Let's see. I was paying so much money a month that he emailed me my prescription. Ended up going to a clinic close to me. So basically he was a bad doctor in this guy's opinion. And the comments are, "Hey, I also had a bad experience with Berger, however you pronounce that. I was suffering from symptoms of what I thought were anxiety, but he kept insisting I was depressed, roughly stating that most girls who come to Japan end up depressed. That's too bad. Maybe even racist. He was very dismissive of what I said. After 3 sessions, he literally said something along the lines of, 'Oh, wow, you're actually really pretty. Why are you so depressed?' Well, pretty girl doesn't need to be depressed. He mentioned to me that most of his clients are Japanese women / Western male couples in need of relationship counseling, so maybe he just doesn't know how to talk to foreign women. The next comment is, Berger has a history of harassing Redditors who have posted on here. Just FYI, watch out. He's going to come after you. And there's a whole thread about that. Next commenter goes, in case any of you missed, because the comment was severely downvoted, our dear friend Mr. Berger made his expected appearance in the thread. Here's his comment. This blog is defamation against a doctor by known individuals who post negative reviews of their competitors online and then suggest their own services in comment sections with multiple quote-unquote sock puppet accounts. I have already reported this post to the moderators for immediate deletion. And there's there are a lot of posts about this guy. I don't know if this is all some kind of weird witch hunt or if this guy's just really a bad therapist. But either way, it's incredibly entertaining because this one goes, PSA, stay away from quote-unquote psychiatrist Doug Berger. My partner recently stumbled upon him, but I had to quickly warn her to stay the hell away from this man. I am a Redditor. I have read the Reddit comments. I know to stay the hell away. As he is still the first result that appears in Google when searching for quote-unquote Japan psychiatrist, I feel the need to tell everyone who reads this to stay away from this fucking maniac. My partner called him once, and afterwards he called her over 8 times and sent countless emails telling her to contact him. It was downright harassment. And the comments kind of go on. Just a heads up, the Berger has previously hired agencies to scrub Reddit threads from search engines, blah, 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 blah. The next comment is, I can't give enough love to any Doug Berger hate thread. I used his services once several years ago, and he gave me the creeps big time, just like the article said. Non-stop emails saying he needed to talk to me, and then trying to charge me for his quote-unquote urgent inquiries about how I was doing. Fuck him. About 6 months ago, he emailed me telling him I still owed him money from several years ago, and I just blocked his ass. Oh, I think I think all these Redditors, I don't think they're making this up. I think this guy's nuts. Maybe he is or he isn't, but I think the ridiculousness of him suing anonymous Redditors online is just, I think it's really entertaining and amazing, and I love it. It's awesome. Alright, the next story on the list is one of those ruin your childhood type of stories, and it comes to us from the Telegraph, UK. And the title goes, former Barney the dinosaur actor now works as a controversial tantric sex guru. Now, we all remember Barney, the lovable green and purple dinosaur from the children's shows back in our day. I didn't know this little tidbit about the actor. So the article goes, the actor who starred as the cuddly T-Rex host of the 90s children's TV show Barney and Friends is now working as a Los Angeles sex tantric... The whole sentence is ridiculous. As a Los Angeles tantric sex therapist, it has been revealed. American actor David Joyner, 52, told Vice that his decade-long stint playing a dancing purple dinosaur was helpful for his current career. That's probably the part of this article that scares me the most. So, working with children is what prepared you for a career in tantric sex therapy. I love you, you love me, let's get together and practice tantric sex therapy. Anyways, the energy I guess I should be reading this as, the energy I brought up while in costume is based on the foundation of Tantra, which is love, Joyner said. Everything stems, grows, and evolves from love. And the original article I found went into graphic detail, which was way more entertaining than this one, but that's fine. We can read a little bit into this one. According to Vice, Joyner believes that this blissful state is best achieved through unprotective, penetrative sex, and claims that condoms block the energy. And underneath that, there's a Twitter picture of him, bald and dressed in those stereotypical ancient Chinese outfits that you see in movies and stuff like that. You see Chinese emperors wearing the little suits with the long shirt and the little straps over them. He reportedly asked clients to declare whether they have any sexually transmitted disease and sign a consent form before their sessions. Lisa, an anonymous source contacted by Vice, said that she has been one of his regular clients for 3 years after first making contact with him through the dating app Tinder. I don't remember any of this from the show back in the day. She added that she had sexual intercourse with Joyner, aka Barney the dinosaur, during their third session, and described the experience as spiritually awakening. There's not much you can say about that. That's some crazy stuff. I did not remember any of that from the show. So I say we move on to a story from the Huffington Post. And the title of this article is 9 Questions to Ask on a First Date, according to divorce lawyers. And these questions will probably be mostly what you'd expect from a Huffington Post article. But let's continue. The article begins, few people have a keener eye for relationship red flags than divorce attorneys. They've seen firsthand how quickly personality quirks can turn into major annoyances and the problems that can lead to calling it quits. That also makes them surprisingly good at giving dating advice. I don't know about that. Below, family law attorneys from across the country share 9 pointed questions to ask on a first date if you want to avoid getting into a relationship with someone you'll eventually divorce. Number 1. When was the last time you talked to your siblings or parents? We're just going to let these sink in. We're not going to read the descriptions or the reasons here. Because it looks like most of these are female divorce lawyers. I think that's kind of entertaining, but we'll talk about that in a little bit. The number 2 is, do you believe in happily ever after? It says Catherine Isolde Miller, a divorce attorney. Two last names. I'm guessing that means she's been divorced too. Are you married is number 3. Number 4 is, what do you love most about your job? Number 5 is, where did you last go on vacation? Number 6 is, do you know who Johnny Carson is? I think after that question, my number 7 would be, how do I unmatch on Tinder? But their number 7 is, do you consider yourself a good communicator? Seems like an odd question to ask. It seems like that should just be pretty self-evident based on the first 6 questions. Yes, hello? What do you think of Johnny Carson? Are you a good communicator? Clearly not. But number 7 is, do you consider yourself a good communicator? 8 is, how did your last relationship end? I don't know. I was always told not to bring up exes on a first date. But I guess, according to divorce lawyers, that's not the best course of action. And number 9 is, if you could go back in time, what's the one thing you wish you could change about your life? And after those 8 previous questions, I think my answer would be probably staying home tonight, watching TV in my underpants, not being exposed to these painful questions by you, Huffington Post reader lady. And I think at the end of the day, I don't think these questions should be universal. I think you need different questions for men and women. Yeah, I'll say it. I think the women need to ask at least coming from a divorce lawyer. Here's what they should have said. For the women, it's pretty easy. How much money do you make? What kind of car do you drive? 3, how much equity do you own in your home? And for the man, it's pretty simple too. Will you sign a prenup? I think that's the advice divorce lawyers should be giving, right? But I don't know. That's okay. In spite of that, let's move on to sports. That'll be a lot more entertaining. In this article, as someone who does not follow sports at all, this article is amazing. It comes from NBC News and is entitled, Philadelphia Sports Fans' History of Aggression Has City on Edge. And the article begins, workers in Philadelphia took on the name Crisco Cops as they greased up light poles in anticipation of Philadelphia Eagles fans celebrating or mourning the results of the NFC Championship game against the Minnesota Vikings. Philadelphia fans are known for their intensity, win or lose, and the city prepared throughout the week in case things got physical. Greasing Philadelphia's poles isn't unheard of, as fans tried to climb poles slathered in grease after the Phillies won the Baseball World Series in 2008, and after the team took the 2009 National League pennant. It is to ensure no one climbs poles, said Troy T. Brown, a Philadelphia police spokesman. I, as someone who doesn't follow sports at all, really doesn't cheer for any sports team, doesn't care about any sporting events, I think this is amazing. The fact that these guys go so nuts over a sports team, because I think you can't be anywhere in between. You have to either not care at all or be a complete lunatic when it comes to sports. And you know what? These Philly fans are doing just the right thing. It would be nearly impossible to predict how many poles will be greased today, as each of the 21 district captains was tasked with identifying quote-unquote hot spots where celebrations are likely to occur and taking the appropriate safety measures, he added. District captains weren't required to grease poles, Brown added. So these guys are greasing poles because these nutty people rioting and celebrating their sports teams, whether they win or lose, are going to climb these fucking poles and cause damage to city property, if not themselves. That's amazing in and of itself. But at the bottom of the article, they have some highlights of the Phillies fans' quote-unquote problematic past, and these kind of go in ebbs and flows. The first one or two are okay, and some of these are absolutely fantastic. So the first one goes in 2016. A Phillies fan threw a beer bottle at slumping slugger Ryan Howard. That's pretty standard drunk sports fan behavior. Nothing too special about that. But let's see what's next. In 2016, angry fans of the Flyers National Hockey League team threw free wristbands meant to pay tribute to the Flyers owner Ed Snyder, who died from bladder cancer a week before, onto the ice. which eventually got so bad that the Flyers were given a delay of game penalty. I don't care who you are. Taking sentimental charity bracelets given out for free at the game to honor a coach that died of a horrible disease and throwing them onto the rink to ruin the game. That, I don't care who you are, that's funny. If you don't think that's funny, you've got a problem. But let's move on to the next one. In 2014, a fan threw a cheesesteak sandwich at Washington Redskins player Chris Baker after he was ejected from the NFL game against the Eagles. Okay. Kind of regional, kind of stereotypical Phillies cheesesteak sandwich. Okay. Whatever. In 2010, police arrested a Phillies fan for purposely... This one is amazing. I stopped myself right before I read the good part because this one is fantastic. In 2010, police arrested a Phillies fan for purposely projectile vomiting on an 11-year-old girl and her father during a game. Purposely projectile vomiting on an 11-year-old girl and her father during a game. I don't think that requires any commentary. Neither does the next one. In 1999, Phillies fans threw D batteries at St. Louis Cardinals outfielder J.D. Drew, whom the Phillies had drafted in 1997 but didn't sign with them. Threw D batteries at a player. I'm trying to think. Most of these are pretty standard, kind of like that guy throwing the beer bottle. There are one or two more good ones here. When the Eagles played Dallas, Cowboys coach Jimmy Johnson had to be escorted off the field by the police because fans were throwing ice and snowballs and beer at him. Not interesting. I thought there was one more good one. There was one more good one. Philadelphia. In 1983, Philadelphia fans beat Redskins mascot Chief Z twice, breaking one of his legs. Now, that was in the 80s. That was just pure sports team rivalry. You know, fuck the Redskins, let's break his legs. That would be something different in 2018. You know, that'd be more of a social justice warrior kind of a Redskins was a racist mascot. Let's break his legs. But still, same effect in the end. There was one more funny... Oh, yeah, this is a good one. In 1999, Eagles fans cheered when Dallas Cowboys wide receiver Michael Irvin suffered a career-ending spinal cord injury. How bad is that? You have to be a really committed sports fan to cheer after an injury like that. And you know what? Power to them. Because if you're just going to sit at home and watch SportsCenter, you're not a real sports fan. But if you're going to cheer at injuries... projectile vomit at 11-year-old girls, and throw D batteries at people, yeah, then you're a sports fan. But let's move to some more international stuff. I think most of us have probably heard by now about Donald Trump's shithole country comments. Let's actually search that story just so we can find an actual source to actually describe the story. So basically, what happened was Trump as CNN says, Trump decries immigrants from quote-unquote shithole countries. So essentially he said, why do we need so many people coming from quote-unquote shithole countries like Haiti and other African countries as opposed to countries like Norway and stuff like that? And I think most people agree, yeah, that's a dickhole comment. But I think at the same time, most people probably think the same thing. There aren't a lot of people moving to Tanzania or the Central African Republic or Zambia. But this article from Politico talks about the French response. Emmanuel Macron is outraged by French shithole comment. French President Emmanuel Macron told the BBC Sunday he shared the outrage of African countries over U.S. President Donald Trump's comments about quote-unquote shithole countries. Earlier this month, Trump allegedly told lawmakers in a meeting on immigration that he didn't understand why the U.S. should welcome people from shithole countries rather than places like Norway. Trump later tweeted that this was not the language he used. It's not a word you can use, Macron told the BBC's Andrew Marr. We have to respect other countries. However, the French president described Trump as not a classical politician and said their relationship was very good and very direct. He was elected by the American people, huh? He said. I want to work with him. And I gotta say, I really enjoy that. I think that's funny. But at the same time, I think Macron's gotta be going, how can you say this? Shittle countries. No. Next thing you tell me is that these countries are shitholes because of brutal French colonialism, huh? Of course, not that. And I think we all know Trump's kind of a nut. But come on. I think at the same time, we all kind of think that about countries like that. You know, there's a reason your freshman service trip was to Guatemala and not Sweden. I don't see a lot of Peace Corps volunteers in Monaco. There aren't too many Doctors Without Borders volunteers in Portugal. You know what I'm saying? And that's not to say that people from those countries are bad. You know, I have an awesome friend from Iraq. You know, an amazing guy. But you know, he comes from a country where shit's kind of going down, and he left for Germany. You know. So I don't know. I think it's entertaining. I think it's entertaining that everyone's getting mad about basically a comment that most of us have probably made in private to our friends. But anyways, let's go. Let's stick with French, with the French stories here, and the local.fr or Point FR, as the French would probably say, has another entertaining story. Men in France could face a 90 euros fine for making sexist comments in the street. And the title and the story goes, France could hit men with a minimum of 90 euros fines if they are caught making loud and lewd comments in public places about a woman's body or appearance, under new proposals put forward to the government to tackle the scourge of street harassment. Oh, interesting. A new government report recommends the 90 euro fine for behavior that is an infringement on the freedom of the movement infringement of the freedom of movement of women in public places and undermines self-esteem and the right to security. The goal is to battle the long-standing problem of so-called everyday sexism in France's streets. Yeah, that's the thing. I feel like that's kind of like a French thing. You know how Eskimos have 100 words for snow, supposedly? There are 100 words for group a woman in French, you know? Hey, baby, you want some pommes frites with that shake, huh? I just think it's crazy. The politicians who worked on the report were tasked with defining what constitutes sexual outrage and how to punish it. Early reports suggested wolf whistling. I think that's the non-American way of saying catcalling. Wolf whistling would be subject to on-the-spot fines, but there is no mention of this in the new parliamentary report, according to the La Croix newspaper. But fines could be handed out to those caught following women on the street, blocking their paths, or making loud, lewd comments on the physique or appearance, according to reports. At first, they're creepy. Loud, lewd comments, I don't know. Every guy deals with annoying comments from other guys, but, it's still fucked up. It has been suggested that the fine will start at 90 euros for those who can pay immediately and will increase to 135 for payment within 15 days and could even go up to 375. The goal is to battle everyday sexism, aka French culture, on France's streets. The politicians who worked on the report were tasked with defining what constitutes sexual outrage and how to punish it. The fines are just one of the proposals, blah, 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 blah. And the legislation has been piloted by a 34-year-old Schiappa, must be the last name, a feminist, an early supporter of French President Emmanuel Macron, who wants to tackle sexist male attitudes in public spaces. Well, that's good. That's good, Sexism is stupid. Sexism is completely pointless. But, it's kind of a French thing, Say sexist things, it's kind of our culture, huh? I don't know. Let's go back to America for a little bit. And there's a local news story from Missouri, from KY3, apparently the place to be, local news station from Missouri. And the title of the article is Missouri State's quote-unquote Tinderella couple finally meet. Freshman emailed every Claudia at university to get a date. All right, I'm not going to make fun yet. But here's the article. Springfield, Missouri. While scanning through the profiles on the dating app Tinder, Hayden Mole meant to swipe right for a chance to match with a girl named Claudia. Instead, he accidentally swiped left. And that's how this all started, Hayden said. Hayden, by the way, the most rural Midwest name in the history of mankind. But let's continue. By swiping left, he got rid of Claudia's profile forever. Rather than letting the rookie mistake cost him a potential love connection, the Missouri State University freshman and self-described introvert put his New Year's resolution into play. He said, just taking more chances and things. So that's, I guess, what led to this. Spelling mistake there, but that's okay. Hayden emailed a letter to Claudia. Since he didn't know which Claudia was the one he met on Tinder, he sent a note to every single Claudia at Missouri State. I'm really glad there's only 42. Because I mean, if it was a more common name, it would have taken a lot longer to find every single one of them. Hayden explained. His persistence paid off. Once Claudia Alley realized the letter was meant for her, she responded. The story blew up and was even on the Today Show, which left Claudia with a lot to explain to her mom. She didn't know I had a Tinder or a Twitter, so I was like, I'm just not going to tell her, and it's not going to be a huge deal. And she found out on the radio, Claudia said. After smoothing things over with her mom, the big question now is, will Claudia and Hayden go on a date? Our school schedules are very busy, so we're still trying to we're still trying to work with that, but I couldn't see it. Oh, but I could see it, she said. She added that she was flattered Hayden went to great lengths to try and get a date with her. In case there's a future dinner or a movie together, the pair met recently to break the ice. Claudia said it wasn't awkward and they got along well. Hayden agreed and added that she was beautiful. Oh, God, this news station. That's just brutal. This kid is clearly, not to be insulting, but partially autistic. They're oh my God. They just have to report. This girl's just letting him down lightly. Oh, and they're gonna air this whole interview. It's just not nice. It's just not nice, you know? Oh my God. It's painful. It's painful to read and painful to watch. And as a result, I think we should just move on to the next story, which also comes from the BBC. And it's about an affliction that many of us suffer from in this generation, in this western part of the world. The title of the article is Gaming Addiction, classified as a disorder by the World Health Organization. Gaming addiction is to be listed as a mental health condition for the first time by the World Health Organization. Its 11th International Classification of Diseases, ICD, will include the condition gaming disorder. The draft document describes it as a pattern of persistent or recurrent gaming behavior so severe that it takes precedence over life interests. Unless that is your life interest, but whatever. Some countries have already identified it as a major public health issue. Many, including the UK, have private addiction clinics to treat the condition. The last version of the ICD was completed in 1992, with the new guide due to be published in 2018. Yeah. So here in 100 years, we've gone from beating the Nazis and, the Central Powers in World War I. We've gone from that, our 17-year-olds and 18-year-olds, of beating fascism, conquering communism, to the whole family gathered around the living room, and Mom going, Billy, we're not here to be accusatory, but we just got a bunch of people that love you here today. And we're just going to say some things, or you're going to say some things today, and we're just going to share what we have to share, and that's it. Billy, I can't do it. And the priest taps her on the back. Billy, I was your confirmation priest. I was in charge of your confirmation class, and you were such a bright young lad. I don't know why I guess it's an American, I guess it's a British story technically, but I don't know why his priest would be Catholic, but it makes sense because Irish people are Catholic. Billy, whenever I talk to you now, I don't know if it's you talking or the video games. And then the dad will tap in, Billy, you stole and sold Grandma's VCR to buy your Titanfall game, blah, 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 blah. And then Billy goes, I don't have a fucking problem, okay? People with a problem can't stop. I can stop whatever I want, okay? Whatever! So we've gotten to that in 100 years. That's the state of our youth, apparently. Anyways, according to the article, it will suggest that abnormal gaming behavior should be an evidence over a period of at least 12 months for a diagnosis to be assigned, but added that a period might be shortened if symptoms are severe. Symptoms of severe gaming include impaired control over gaming, frequency, intensity, duration, increased priority given to gaming, and continuation or escalation of gaming despite negative consequences. Dr. Richard Graham, lead technology addiction specialist at the Nightingale Hospital in London, welcomed the decision to recognize the condition. It is significant because it creates the opportunity for more specialized services. It puts it on the map as something to take seriously. This generation isn't only spoiled, it's a real problem. He didn't say that. But he added that he would have sympathy for those who do not think the condition should be medicalized. It could lead to confused patients whose children are just enthusiastic gamers. AKA every person in their mid-20s to mid-30s that plays video games. But that's okay. And I think for our last story, let's move on to another tech story. This one comes to us from USA Today. Let's pull this up here. Okay, this one comes from USA Today and goes, cyberbullying's chilling trend. Teens anonymously targeting themselves online, study finds. Don't laugh just yet. We still have to get to the actual story. Cyberbullying is not a new phenomenon, but an alarming number of teenagers are anonymously posting mean things online about themselves. Let that sink in. About 6% of kids from the ages of 12 through 17 have bullied themselves digitally, according to research conducted by Samir Hinduja, a professor of criminology at Florida Atlantic University and co-director of the Cyberbullying Research Center. It's a new phenomenon, and this is definitely, quote-unquote, happening for teens across the U.S., Hinduja said. We have a tendency to demonize the aggressor, but in some cases, maybe 1 out of 20, the aggressor and the target are the same. So essentially what's going on is teenagers are bullying themselves on the interwebs. Basically, the question perplexing researchers is why teens would do that. Yeah, I think that's what a lot of us are asking. When asked why they engaged in digital self-harm, boys are more likely to say they did it as a joke or to get attention, while girls often said they did it because they were struggling with depression. Now, the guys make sense there. That makes total sense. And maybe that's just coming from me as a guy, but I can see that, you know. Oh, yeah, dude, I totally just sent some dick pics to myself and called myself a faggot and told me to go kill myself. Whatever. It doesn't sound like sincere bullying. I don't know about the girls' side of things, though. That's just weird. But whatever. There's that same phenomenon that's going on. It's akin to physically wanting to feel pain, said Patricia Cavazos, an associate professor of psychiatry at the Washington University School of Medicine. I don't know. Can you really inflict harm on yourself by sending yourself harassing things online? I don't know. That sounds weird to me. But I don't know. According to her, these individuals could be at a very vulnerable place. Well, obviously. And there's a risk of what could happen next if there's no intervention, she said. The question is, what is the appropriate response when content is posted? Man, I don't know. The internet is fucking us all up. It's hard to say. It's making us all just bizarre. It's just bizarre things like this. You know, this is just... people are just weird with the internet, you know? I don't know. That was our first episode. There'll be more. I hope you guys enjoyed a couple of those entertaining stories. I think most of those are strange and weird and entertaining. And you know what? We are fortunate to live in the richest and safest countries in the world during the richest and safest period in history, in the richest and safest, parts of the world. And we're kind of spoiled, So there's going to be more stories about first world problems and spoiled people and ignorant people and stupid people. And we're going to be here to report about it. We're going to be here to talk about it. But more than anything, we're going to be here to make fun of it. We're not here to make a social commentary or a political commentary or a moral commentary or anything like that. We're just here to make fun, There's a lot of stupid crap going on in this part of the world. And you know what? It's worth making fun of because there's not a lot of that out there. There's not enough people making fun of the ridiculousness. And that's what we're here. So there you have it. That's our show. If you liked it, subscribe below and check out our Twitter. We'll be posting more videos, hopefully every week. So until next time, thanks a lot for listening, everyone, and I really appreciate it.